David, I appreciate your words about not being worthy to be up here, but I said this a couple of weeks ago when I had my official retirement party. It's because of you that we're all up here. You tell the story. A lot of people can watch the games and know, but you tell the story. They don't know us without your words, so thank you. My thanks is just to you. Gotta first acknowledge Eddie. I do return your text messages. I know you don't think that I do, but I do. Might be on my own time, but I do. The Honors Court Committee, all the people that voted me into this Virginia Hall of Fame, I am truly humbled to be entering with the likes of some of the great Virginians. And I looked at this list a couple of days ago and looking at Lawrence Taylor and Ralph Sampson, George Haley, George Welsh, my coach in college, Sam Snead, names that are just jumping off, and saying these are the greats of their respective sports. And I'm going in, Barry Parkhill, who I acknowledged I didn't know as much about his playing career as his success in his playing careers until I looked him up. And obviously it's an honor to go in with this class, Rashawn and Latasha, Marty, Tisha, David, and Lou. Lou, you've been around a long time, man. Can't believe I'm standing up here next to you. It took too long for you to get in here. But really, like many things in life for me, I had to follow Tiki into this thing. Actually, 3 years ago when I was sitting at that same table that he's sitting at now, I'm saying, well, he played 10 years in the league. I think I had mildly more success than him. I'll be here somewhere. Tiki allows me to roast him from time to time, so he understands. It's great to be joined here today by family. My mom is over here. Tiki is with his wife and baby. My wife is sitting at the table with them. Bruce Allen, who was the GM of those Oakland Raiders, if none of y'all remember. They've been winning the Super Bowl. But Bruce, I got to give him a lot of credit because he signed me when I was 31 years old to probably my most lucrative contract and is solely responsible for almost every nice thing that my wife owns. So, thank you. He's sitting there with my best friend, Raheem Morris, who's a DB coach at the Redskins. Thank you guys for being here. I see this table over here, all my Cave Spring people. I look at Craig Littlepage, Barry and his wife. UVA was probably about as influential in 4 years that I could possibly have hoped for. Not only, athletic-wise, but as a person. I grew so much in those years, and to become the person that I am today. Forget the player that I ended up being. I became a better person there. But I look back, if you allow me to look back at my journey, and it's much more than being, one of the twins. Because growing up, it was, you're one of the twins. You're one of the Barbers. And that had some significance. But probably not for what you think. It was a great portion for my, there were some portions of it that were for my success, and Tiki knows this. He was my idol. When I looked for someone to inspire me, I just looked at the dude that was sleeping next to me in the same room. And it was that way all the way through college until we separated when he went to the New York Giants and I went to Tampa Bay. I had a mom who had pretty high standard for success, and she pushed me. As I stand up here and I look at all of our paths, all of these great athletes up here, our paths, they all seem destined to be, now that, we're 40 and 80, whatever. They're a fairy tale, right? But it belies a little bit the struggle that we all go through, and all coaches and great athletes go through these same things. Mine is no different than any of theirs. And there's some themes that always jump out at you. And for me, there's a couple of themes that I had to talk about today, because you don't know my story unless you recognize these themes. And, I say patience and perseverance, for me, are the two things that made me the player that I was all those years ago. And as I, take a trip from Roanoke up 81, across 64 to Charlottesville, and then to Tampa, those two themes stood out in every single stop. They're really, two halves of the same, same whole. The thesaurus even calls them synonyms, but the real difference is that patience is the passive form of perseverance. And let me explain that to you, because I had to look this up because it made so much sense to me when I was thinking about what to say to you guys. If you have patience, you have a willingness or a capacity to endure and wait. If you have perseverance, you have the capacity and willingness to work hard. And to be honest with you, I had a lot of adversity getting to where I am now. And it started all the way back in high school. It didn't get off to a flying start on any level. High school, we go to Cave Spring High School. We're sophomores, our first year at the high school. Of course, Tiki is the starting running back, and I'm sitting on the bench, doing nothing. It took a guy who's a good friend of mine now, Todd Dowdy, to get hurt for me to even get a chance to play as a 10th grade high school player. At UVA, I was redshirted. Tiki was playing, and I'll stand back here with my uniform on. I watched him take road trips. I didn't even dress. At Tampa Bay, I was inactive for 15 games my first year. And there was obviously the opportunity for me not to find the success that I did, but in '98, a guy, Anthony Parker, who was playing ahead of me, got hurt, and I got a chance to start. And I learned lessons through my personal adversity. I learned patience, obviously. But I learned how to persevere, how to work through all that, to keep perfecting my craft. And eventually, when my opportunity came, on every single one of those instances, it met with my preparation, and my career took off. My story really has its roots here in Virginia, and that's what's special to me. It all can be traced back to here, traced back to Roanoke, Virginia. And more than anything, that's why I'm honored to be standing up here, accepting this enrollment into this Hall of Fame. Because I like to think back to those days when I'm on Mike Tolley's Little League team, and being a young football player in high school and running track. Even though Latasha didn't know I ran track. How does Latasha not know that I ran track? She told me the other day she didn't know I ran track. I won state twice. You were there. I wasn't as good as her, obviously. I was naive enough to think that I could run in college. I was not good enough. So my biggest influences in my entire career are from Virginia. And it would be remiss of me if I didn't mention them. My high school coach is here, Steve Spangler. He was also my junior high coach. He moved up to the high school, I think because he wanted to coach Tiki and I, but he fostered my love for the game in junior high and high school. I go to UVA, and obviously George Welsh is our coach, the great George Welsh is our coach. Him and Art Marcos, furthered my skill and taught me the importance of the finer points of this game. Ironically, I ran into Ken Mack out in the hallway here, and I remember very specifically a conversation that Tiki and I had with Ken right before our last year, before we went to the league, and he told us, if you want to get there and you want to succeed, you got to find the tunnel vision. I didn't know what the tunnel vision was. I was just playing football. But it rings true now, because that's who I was in my career. Had a lot of focus. All of you know who Mike Tomlin is. Huge influence in my career. I was a pretty average player, and then he came to Tampa in 2001, and I made my first Pro Bowl. I was my first All-Pro. He's from Hampton. All my roots are here in Virginia. Today is a great day for all of us, for me, but it's a great day for everyone that I talked about, the coaches, the family, friends, from Roanoke, Charlottesville. They all helped me get to this point, and as I get enshrined today, in my mind, so too do they. They go in right behind me, because they are the ones that put me up here on this podium today. And I know they're proud, and I'm proud. And unlike other recognitions that I have gotten or may get in the future, this one is special. My being is in Virginia. Streets and the playgrounds of Roanoke molded me into the player that I am now, that I was a year ago at least. It's always a long journey to get to a place like this. And I can honestly say I enjoyed every step of it because of the people that helped me get there. All of us up here are favored sons and daughters of this state. And I gotta tell you, I couldn't be more proud to go into the halls of fame and be included amongst the Commonwealth's greatest. Thank you.